Welcome to the Between Two Wheels podcast. On today's show, we have Stage 7, Archidona, Cordoba, 180.5 kilometers. Yesterday, we had dramatic issues with the Vuelta, allowing Ben O'Connor to take 6+ minutes, 5 minutes almost, on the general classification over Roglic. How will they take care of this? You're going to have a great tactical race from here on out by Bora Hansgrohe, Roglic. And what about the other riders? You got Visma Lease bike with Sepp Kuss, the defending champion, Enric Mas. We're going to find out how they did today, coming up.
And Kuss goes, says, I've had enough of this, to Evenepoel, and there's gaps opening up here, 2.6 kilometers to go. Here is Sepp Kuss, and he has actually pushed on, he's going for glory. This could be a fabulous day for Jumbo-Visma. Stage victory coming his way, needs to drive it all the way over the line. Is he going to, he's going to go high-fiving. This might cost him a red jersey, for goodness sake. Hits the line, take 10-second bonus.
And welcome everybody back. We have the Vuelta a España, the 79th edition, Stage 7. And look, this was issues today, issues yesterday. They all play a part here. And we talk about tactics all the time and how they play into this. We talked about that yesterday with Ben O'Connor, the letting him go up the road, how I thought that was dramatically horrible for Bora. And any of the other GC riders, but it was really the onus was on Bora to take this on and to do it. And then I've talked about previously how Visma Lease bike appears to me that now today totally have undergone the venture of winning stages and taking the green jersey with Wout over defending the race with Sepp Kuss. And you're like, oh, are you sure? Yes. And they may not think they have. And here's the problem you have. A few years ago, what's it, the Jadzabel? I'm trying to remember what the stage was. There was like stage 3 or so in the Tour de France, 2 years ago. They come over the top of the climb. Wout's positioned to win. He's got several riders up there with him, one being Jonas Vingegaard. Jonas doesn't help lead him out. In the end, I think Lefay jumps at it 1 to go, gets the win. Wout throws the bottle. He's very upset. They had a little bit of an issue there. Now, all Jonas had to do was do one little move, pull him up when that guy's going immediately up on the wheel, and we're not having a problem here at all. I thought it was something Jonas definitely could have done. He didn't do it because the team's like, you're the leader. You're not expending yourself willy-nilly out here for this. However, now, and that was a tour, I get it. Jonas, wins the tour anyway, so we're good to go. Stage 4, we come into that corner, 14 kilometers to go. There is a sprint point for the green jersey. Wout blows himself up with that, then comes off the back. No one is there to put Sepp into position, and he has to close gaps in the last 5 kilometers. He goes from like 20, 30 back. Up there, he's in the top 5. Eventually, he gets split off of the wheel. He loses 30 seconds. And I thought at that point is, okay, maybe it's all fine. Maybe it's all fine and dandy, and it's just him having bad legs, and it wouldn't have made any difference. But you didn't even put him into position to make sure that this is going to happen. So problems all around. And then today, let's get right to the stage, because I think it's similar tactics which ended up going on today, which further showed kind of where we're at here with this thing. Okay, so 180 kilometers. Isasa of the Euskaltel team is off the front to begin with. He's getting there gaps. He has almost 8 minutes. No one really is going with him. And maybe we should look at this profile first, because it's let's go here. Sorry. Okay, So here's stage profile, which we've talked about, but it's just kind of this lumpy downhill, going from what 500 meters, 500 or so meters in elevation, down to the sprint here before you cross and you hit this Cat 2 climb, 7.4 kilometers at 5.6%. Steepest portion is 14%. It was going to be a bit rough. And so how were they going to deal with it? And basically, talking, on the TV today to all sprinters, hey, I know there's this 14%. Do you think you have a chance at this? Well, it's like, I think I do. Caden Groves, yeah, maybe let's do it. The sprinter from UAE, are you scared of this? I'm not scared of nothing. Okay, so everyone's kind of in the Bittner. Hey, we'll see what it can do. And it depends on how the peloton takes this on. They're going to roar it up this climb and try to destroy it GC-wise, or they're going to take it a little bit more calm and let the sprinters be a part of it. And are the sprint teams going to kind of play a part? That's everything that's involved here. So everyone knows it's queuing up for the last, because that climb hits around 30 or so kilometers to go. It's queuing up for that event, and everyone is just kind of sitting back. So sprinters have an idea to keep it in check. Dequina, Alpecin Dequinic. You also have Visma Lease bike. They're interested. You have some other teams, Trek perhaps, Bora, or do we want to light this up for Roglic? So with that in mind, you have one solo rider out there. He's doing his best, but he's eventually going to get caught. But we'll get there. The gap is coming down slowly but surely. You've got Visma up there. You got Dequinic up there. 89 kilometers to go. His lead is now down to 54 seconds. You have a sprint point out there, which okay, they're already hitting the climb. So before that, 39 kilometers, I think there was a sprint, and since the rider was right up the road, 22 seconds here, they're actually reeling him in. But right before that, you end up getting a sprint for the green jersey. Wout gets second over Caden Groves. Fine. It's just 17 points, I believe. 2 points difference there. Not much really to be worried about. However, they start hitting this climb. They do bring him in, and they hit the climb here. 30 or so kilometers to go, and Bora lights it up. Now, already on this portion, Bora has bled themselves on some of the riders, Danny Martinez, Vlasov, et al. And all of a sudden, Roglic decides he needs to take to the front. Now, I will say this about Sepp. Sepp was very attentive. He was always up on those wheels. He looked very good today, and we'll talk about his whole fitness here. Enric Mas looked good. So did Ben O'Connor. He's riding well in red, always at the front. He had a good team around him. Lefay was close by. We'll get to all the teammates. Anyway, Bora kind of switches some people off here. Vlasov, I think, comes back to the front for Roglic. So it's a little bit back and forth here. Riders getting spit out the back. You got no one basically is a sprinter except for Wout. You can see Wout up there. He's still hanging on tough in this section, in about 30 or 40 riders in this front group. He's still going strong. However, near the top of this, there's a time bonus sprint, and Roglic decides he's going to really kick forward again. He's got Carapaz on his wheel, but Sepp Kuss is very attentive. I don't know if this was, we'll talk about some tactics here. If this was something Boris should have done. However, Roglic gets 6 seconds or 10 seconds. I think it's 10, 6, and 4 or 6, 4, and 2. Maybe that's what it was. So Roglic does get a time bonus. Sepp Kuss gets second on that, and Carapaz gets third. Enric Mas tried to play a little bit of it, but wasn't quite there. Then I come over the top. Now, this finish here, it comes over the top, the main climb, but it has some dips, and then it has a few pitches before it drops completely down, I think with about 16K to go. Drops completely straight down the hill, and then some flat coming into the finish. So there's going to be a little bit wonky as far as how are you going to control this. Sepp Kuss is on the front, Carapaz is on the front, so is Roglic, but what do they really want to do? Roglic keeps working things up here, and Sepp is up there with it as well. And then you have on the back here, Caden Groves crosses wheels. He's already off the back, but he crosses wheels with Nairo Quintana, goes down pretty hard. I hope he's going to be okay. His teammate Eddie Planker also had a wreck coming down the hill. And 20-some kilometers to go. This group is off the front here. There you go, showing it again. Caden Groves. Then at 21K to go, it's in between these two last little pitches. Marc Soler decides to take off. Okay, what you're doing here is, because this is the problem you're going to have with Wout. He can obviously win a sprint. He is the golden boy for this. All other sprinters are gone. It shouldn't be a problem. However, controlling this thing is going to be a problem because Sepp Kuss is the only one. Utebricks got blown out. He lost like 6, 7, 8 minutes today. Hessink, Kreuzwick, no one is there with Wout and Sepp going over this. Now, Sepp looked very easy going over the top of this. It wasn't a problem. But what do you want to do? What is your point here coming down? Is it most important that Wout gets this win? Or do you, and so Sepp is on the front here and he's working. Now, Sepp is not a Jonas, right? He was a reluctant leader in the Tour, in the Vuelta last year. He got put into this position. He feels, hey, it's necessary for me to, he wanted to win, right? But he was always kind of biding his time and not quite sure how to go with Roglic and Jonas, whereas those two riders are more, and he talked about this as far as attitude goes. Sometimes when you're a team leader, you're just a killer, like, nope, it's mine, and you're doing everything you can for me. Now, Roglic doesn't even have to demand that to his team. They said they went to work for him the other day on stage 4, and he won that. He didn't even ask him. They're just like, we assume you're going to be the guy, and here it is. But Sepp is used to working for someone, and I don't know that he always understands. So you've got Wout, who's Olympic man. He's, I don't know if he won the Olympics. He didn't win the Olympics, but he's a world class rider, wins everything he can. He's an amazing rider, and then you just have Sepp Kuss, which just wins some climbs and the Vuelta. But he's like, feels like, hey, now I've got to do this again and work for this. And so he does. He goes right to work. And now he's going down there. He's trying to keep things together. Solaire's going off the front. He gets, 10, 15 seconds. He's still doing this. Then they finally get over the top. And there he goes. Eddie Plankert goes down on a corner. Marc Soler is up the road, and he's got 16 plus seconds on this group. And it's looking pretty good. Now, the problem you can have is that he just solos up the road and you can't do anything about it because no one is going to chase. So what does Wout do? Wout does what I think it was actually a good move for working with his teammate Sepp Kuss, not putting all the onus on him, and perhaps making Sepp work to the point where people then counterattack and Sepp gets dropped. That's the worst case scenario here. I'm sorry, your Sepp is not out of this thing yet. Wout takes off and he tries to bring back Marc Soler himself. It seems somewhat half-assed. I mean, he was doing a pretty good job, but he did make other riders, Sivakov and those for UAE, chase from behind. They chase from behind, they bring him in. Immediately, Sepp Kuss counters attacks and has a little bit of a gap with some people, but that eventually comes back together. And then Sepp just sits on the front for multiple kilometers working to bring back Marc Soler. Now, as far as we'll talk about whether this was the right thing to do or not, I will just say as far as tactically and how he did it was brilliant because he slowly brought him back in. You can see 5.3 to go. Marc Soler is just near on the front, but he still doesn't bring him in. We're now at 3.5. He finally brings him in. So it's multiple kilometers, and he did it in a way where you're getting closer to the end, which was pretty good. Now, some other teams did come to the front. Sepp just kept riding. And then you had Sivakov decides to break off here the last kilometer or so. But then you have Bora and Vlasov deciding to chase him down. Maybe it's a situation where Sivakov has gone from being, I think it's Sivakov, went from being Russian to French. And now Vlasov is like in the nowhere. And so he's chasing him down for, maybe it's a country thing. I don't know, because what they should have done is just make Sepp come to the front, make Wout maybe come to the front. But instead, Vlasov does what I would consider a perfect lead out, catches Sivakov around, I want to say 200 to go. Wout immediately kicks and easily wins this thing, and Sepp Kuss gives a fist pump in the back of the pack. There you go. There's the overhead. Wout kicks, gets the win over Vasek for a little trek, and I'm trying to remember who. Kern Ryder gets third, and Kung gets fourth. So we'll talk about all those riders there. There you go. So no change in the GC other than the fact that Roglic took some time back. So Roglic does get a little bit of a little move up on the overall, but it's going to be a bit, if that's how he's going to do it, it's going to be difficult for him to really be taking this thing back overall. So here is the results on the day. Wout, Vasek, Pau Mikhail in third, and Stefan Kung in fourth. Quinten Hermans, Alpecin de Koenig gets up there for fifth. Quinten Paschier for Groupama in sixth. Lorenzo Roda in seventh for Intermarché. Harold Tejada of Kazakhstan. Max Poole in ninth for Team DSM. George Bennett of Israel Primertech in 10th. Van Aert 11th, Tiberi, Carapaz, Dunbar, Mike Woods, Jack Haig, Ben O'Connor, Roglic, Mas, Skilmos, Del Toro, Sepp Kuss, Berted, Gadu. So it goes all the way down here to 33rd place with Adam Yates, Mikel Landa, Christian Rodriguez, Sivakov, Almeida, Gall et al. Coming in here. And then there's a 17-second gap, and there's a few others that came in here. So once again, so this now with this GC Roglic, look at that, moves up to took some time on the day, 4:45. We can go time won or lost. So he took 6 seconds here. Sepp Kuss gets 4 seconds back. He's almost at the exact 6 minute spot. And Carapaz moves 6:51 at 2 seconds addition, 17 seconds lost by Lipowitz. So there you go. That's kind of the whole breakdown of those. Maybe we'll look here at nations. Teams to see exactly who did what here. You had, like we said, let's take this time won loss. Alpecin, that's on the GC. Who want the stage? Here we go. So Hermans, as we said, was up there. Arkea had Christian Rodriguez. Kazakhstan had Harold Tejada and Fortunato in that front group. Bahrain had Tiberi and Jack Haig, two of them up there. Cofidis had Guillaume Martin at 17 seconds, so they didn't have anybody in that front group. Decathlon did well defending with Ben O'Connor, Clement Bersa, and Felix Gall. Gall is still looking very good. Victor Lefebvre was just a bit off, about 2 minutes off of that there. EF had Carapaz only up there. 17 seconds back was Cepeda. Kern had one rider up there. He ended up third place. That was a nice little move for him. Scotty, 17 seconds back for them. No one. Asasa, he ended up 16 minutes back. So once he got caught, he's like done. Kuhn for FDJ, Kuhn, Pescher, and Gadu all in that front group. Gadu did make a little move after Sepp had gone one time, so making some efforts there. Carlos Rodriguez for Ineos Grenadiers. Timon Aronson continues to lose time. He lost minute 17. Oscar Rodriguez, 32 seconds down, and Narvaez, who's not a threat for the overall, loses 17. Intermarché with Lorenzo Rota at that front group. Maybe should have dropped back and helped his teammate Louis Menkes in that 17 seconds. Here we go. George Bennett, Mike Woods in that front group. Corbin Strong loses 17 seconds, but Matthew Riccatello bleeds out again in another 127. I don't know what happened to him, and Riley Sheen comes in 144 at 13 minutes back. I don't know what happened to Riccatello after stage 4. He was looking so good. Maybe he's just said, I'm only here for stages. I'm just here to do those extreme steep things. It's a learning curve for me. We will see what happens. Vasa gets second place with and Skilmos. Those two made the front group for Little Trek. Lotto Destiny had Van Eetvelt. I mean, I still think he might be a danger for this whole race. Enric Mas does make that front group, did well. Fourth place on the, not the finish, but the sprint for the time bonus. So just missed out on that. You had two riders up there, Roglic and Vlasov. Florian Lipowitz, who was up in the front yesterday. Remember, that was their key. Roglic, Bora was trying to get this, their guy making that front group, but he got worked over by Ben O'Connor, so he loses more time today. That just kind of seems to be going down. Mikel Landa did make that front group for the Soto Quickstep. Team DSM, one guy, Max Poole. They don't really have anybody for the overall. Team Jayco got Eddie Dunbar. He's still doing well for the overall going up there. He made that front group. And as we know, Wout van Aert with the win, first place, and his teammate Sepp Kuss gets 4-second bonus and comes in 22nd in that front group. Attila Valta, 117 back. Robert Hessing, 127 with Kreuzwick. Kian Uterbrooks, 8:11, missing out on that. And Eduardo Fini, who did a lot of work early on, 13 minutes. So, and then UAE with 4 guys up in the front there. Isaac Del Toro at 21. 29th for Jao Almeida, 30th for Sivakov, and Yates at 33. So they all made that front group. Barancini, he was the sprinter they thought could maybe make it, but he loses 117. Soler ends up getting caught and sitting up for 127. And McNulty, who did a lot of work with Jay Vine early on, 120. They were 13 minutes down. Now, what was the point of? Was it valid to have Sepp Kuss up there doing this work today? I don't know. I hope it doesn't come back to haunt him. Wout said, he goes, it gave me goosebumps to be on the wheel as he being Sepp, under 60 kilograms, lightweight guy, was doing the pulling that he was doing. He said, it gave me goosebumps and I wanted to finish it off for him. So there's a lot of pride there of how Sepp rode for Wout. perfectly fine. But was it necessary? You get a stage win. I mean, at least Visma is coming out of this thing with a few stage wins. It looks like Wout's going to try to go the distance to get the green jersey. And so a day like today is important, if that's the case, to get these points over Caden Groves when he's not even there. I mean, let's take a look at the results. So now we have the points jersey. Wout is 203 up 40 to 162 of Caden Groves, and Bittner's at 81. So, there's not a ton of sprints you're going to have in this race, so I understand, and Wout will get over these climbs just fine. He'll probably be more fresh and fit coming near the finish for these, later on in the race. So he will be fine, and there's a good chance of him doing that. But at what cost? Is it going to be to the point where you're at the detriment of a day like today where Sepp Kuss did so much work and is going to see maybe repercussions in a bad way later on? I mean, these are bullets that are spent. Now, Bora went on the offensive, and they cleaned things up over the climb, so everyone's having to put out these efforts. But on the flat coming into the finish, this is not something you're looking to have your main GC rider do. It also was a bit risky having Sepp ride so hard. If there was a counter attack at any point by Roglic, Ben O'Connor, they could have perhaps dropped him, so there's a concern about him going all in like this, especially when I saw today that he just looked exceptionally ready and to play the GC role. So he did everything today, and I don't know that I'm satisfied with the mentality. We have this common modern cycling how it's be all end all of your GC rider does nothing but GC and he just gets taken care of. I get that. And so it's a little bit, you see these usually from the minor role riders that aren't going to, you're hoping for a top 10, and so maybe I'll help lead my guy out. But we have seen, and I hate to put this into comparison here, we have seen Pogacar lead some of his guys out in sprints. We've seen those things. This is, no offense, Sepp is not Pogacar. It may be detrimental. I don't like to see it only because I haven't seen the team and maybe we're missing some things. But when they don't put him in position on stage 4, that to me shows something. And now it seems to be a culmination here, and Sepp maybe laying down for it. But what I do take out of this is Bora, not sure what they did up that climb. It only, in the end, it all worked out for Wout. It didn't. What did Bora get out of it? They didn't get rid of Ben O'Connor. Their team had to put down a lot of work. They got rid of their own Florence Lipowitz. So you just had some problems there. Other than that, not a bad day. Are we ready to go? I don't think we're quite ready to go. Let's take a look at tomorrow's stage and make a few little predictions here. So there was the race course today. Here we go tomorrow. Now, it hits a Cat 2 at this 105 kilometers in, 7.3 at 5.6%. Comes down the hill. There's a sprint and a bonus here as well at 139. And this whole race is, 159, so just under 100 miles or so. And right at it. And then we have this 4.8 at 7.2%. Cat 3, I don't know. It looks like it might be a pretty good Cat 3. Typically, you're kind of like, Cat 3 is not going to be too worried about, but it did get steep at the top. So this is prime Roglic area, and if it's steep at the top, you may be able to bump off. You could see, and I could see it because I'm feeling some good vibes with Sepp here. Sepp Kuss, Roglic, Enric Mas, Van Aert, the steep guys that we had on the one before, but I think this will actually play into Sepp's hands a little bit better, and you're going to see a Roglic win considering if they don't let a break get away. I think you may get about 10 seconds over Ben O'Connor tomorrow by those ones I just mentioned. 10 seconds is all you're going to get, plus some time bonuses. So look for, and by the way, this is the problem you have here with Bora is not the strong team that we've seen UAE. They're not the strong team that we've seen with Visma Lease bike over the years. So I don't know that they can necessarily control this to the way that they need to, but this is another good chance for tomorrow for Roglic and to get a win and to get a few seconds, and I think maybe start to make that a little bit more clawing into Ben O'Connor. You see any problems with him tomorrow, you're going to see them attacking hard, but it's going to be difficult. If anything, it's going to be limited. Maybe Ben O'Connor attacks them. Who knows? It will be. fun to watch. All right, until tomorrow, enjoy the Vuelta.
Right now, Primož Roglic decides to come up and start setting the pace here. I think he's thinking, well, if Vingegaard can have a go, so can I. At 2.8 kilometers to go, Roglic has actually changed the tempo here. This is great strategy. Talk about strength in numbers, and what delivery. Oh, Sepp Kuss is off the back. It's a wheel length. They're going to have to be told to wait up for him if that is the plan. He's on the blower saying, guys, would you mind? They don't even look back. So finally, Vingegaard does look back, takes a glance, but they're not waiting. They've gone.
He saw that Sepp was there at first. Second time he looked, there were 4 or 5 lengths. He just turned back to the front and stuck on the wheel of Primož Roglic. Sepp Kuss fighting for his life in red. Primož Roglic just keeps pushing out the tempo. Landa comes back to the wheel of Sepp Kuss, who is flailing. And Sepp Kuss, he's seeing it slip away. 21 seconds. The gap to Roglic and Vingegaard.
Kuss here. The gap's actually come down. Landa's closing it on behalf of Kuss. This is amazing. They are coming back into it. It's Landa that's wrestling for this one. Into the hoarded sections. There's the Flamme Rouge finally. So Landa still sticks it to the mountain here. Sepp Kuss is actually rolling here, trying to hold on to Landa, who's on spectacular form at the moment. Gets the roar from the crowd, and it's about 3/4 of bike length, but it comes back into that gap. This is the finale for them. They zigzag through here, the road snakes, and they've bitten everybody. Wow, this is great. Now watch the clock as it starts to count. 3, 4, 5, and here comes Sepp Kuss. He's now got to sprint home to hold on to this jersey. Maybe he knows him. We all know about Sepp Kuss. Oh, I think he might well have just held on to it with those bonus seconds.